One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about episode 7 of the Showtime limited series Dexter New Blood, entitled Skin of Her Teeth. The title's pretty obvious here. It comes from the fact that Dexter finds skin in the tooth of Iris's corpse that can be used for DNA sampling, and they find out, well, everyone collectively finds out, we already know that Kurt's behind this. Well, we didn't know for sure on Iris until this week, but now we know for sure that Iris is also one of Kurt's victims because the DNA was tested and it was proven to be, from his bloodline, I guess, not necessarily from Kurt. I believe they said it was a 67% chance it was Kurt. We know it's Kurt because it fits his MO, the rifle wound through the back, all that good stuff. But yeah, this was a pretty thrilling episode, I think. I like the fact that right now with, let's say 3 episodes left, that Dexter and Kurt are both openly onto one another. We collectively knew what Kurt was doing. Dexter figured it out a week or two back, but now it's out there in the open. Kurt now knows that Dexter knows, but then also Dexter now knows that Kurt knows he killed Matt. I did not expect that to happen in this episode. That was a genuine, shocking moment. So we're gonna start there because that was kind of like the meat of this episode, really. So Dexter discovers that Matt had, I guess, some sort of surgical screw in his body that did not burn when he burned Matt's body. And Kurt discovered this screw and even sent it to, not even sent it to Dexter like, okay, here it is in the mail kind of thing. He had a strange trucker give it to Harrison, which is almost kind of like a roundabout kind of threat on Harrison as well. Dexter doesn't mention anything like that, but that's how I look at it. Like, you gonna send this message through my kid? Like, that's getting my kid directly involved in all this. But Dexter and Kurt have like this really loaded conversation at the diner while Harrison's working there. Harrison is funny because Harrison's looking at it like Dexter's here to, or my dad is here to kind of like stalk me almost, whereas we know he's really there for Kurt. But yeah, I loved how each of these things were revealed. The whole process of starting from when Angela comes into the diner and arrests Kurt. From that moment on, I loved how they played all that stuff out. So Angela arrests Kurt. She kind of interrogates him, and he plays it off. Not too well, but he doesn't seem worried at all until she brings up the DNA evidence that they have, which I guess confirmed for us at the time that she was able to figure out that it was Kurt's DNA that was in Iris's teeth. And then that's when he starts to panic and he wants to lawyer up. And then he gets thrown in the cell, and eventually apparently against his lawyer's advice, he concocts this whole story about how his dad was actually the one doing all the stuff that we know that he did. And because the DNA is only like a 67% match, which if he were to go to trial would be more than enough to acquit. Like, I can't say more than enough because it's too little of a match. But like, if the whole idea is reasonable doubt, 67% match is definitely reasonable doubt. There's 33% chance that you're wrong here. That's well beyond what can be considered reasonable. So they have to release Kurt. And that alone was kind of enough for me to kind of be like, man, this is going unexpectedly poor for Dexter, but really good for me because I'm finding this pretty entertaining. And they still hadn't even hit us with the screw thing. I didn't even know what that was when I first saw it. I thought it was a screw, but it looked weird. I'm like, I don't really know what that is. What is this supposed to mean? I love how I had no earthly clue what was happening until the show decided it was ready to tell me. And I like when shows do that. When, I know whatever I'm seeing is important, but I don't get it. But I'm also comfortable in the fact that the show isn't going to leave me confused and that this will make sense at some point. I didn't even know it was going to make sense in the same episode. But, I really like that reveal. The idea of it wasn't snow that day, it was ash. Him finding that screw and sending it. Like, man, that was really cool shit. So I really enjoyed everything involving that kind of revelation that we got this week with both of them. Um, we also found out, I think, in the when Dexter's kind of doing his thing on the scene, which, like I said last week, I was looking forward to, and I'm glad that they started off with that. Like, I was sitting there like, yeah, let's have Dexter do his thing, and in addition to finding out that she was shot through the back with a rifle, just like what Kurt's been doing. We also found out she was alive at the time she was dumped down there, and that the rocks were holding her down as she tried to claw her way out. That was that had to have been some heavy information for Angela to get in that moment. And then when they go to, I love when they actually go to Kurt's cabin. Dexter concocts this whole thing like, yeah, I overheard them saying this, so I followed them, yada yada yada. I like what he says. Like, she says, "Did you hear that?" He's like, "Is that the sound of you not needing a warrant?" And she shoots the lock off. And they go in there, and the room is completely stripped, like, down to the bones. Which, for Dexter, I mean, Dexter already knew, but like, that's one of those things. It's like where that this is proof of what you feel like this person did, but it's not presentable as proof, especially since they didn't even go in there legally. Like, Dexter even says that at some point. Like, you're relying on DNA that you had your boyfriend illegally acquire, and they didn't legally go into his cabin either. So yeah, that was really interesting how they and smart how they kind of set the stage for what seemed like a solid case kind of falling apart, and how fragile that was. So I thought that was cool. And then we had Angela and Molly. Now they're both kind of on to Dexter to an even greater degree, because Angela, I think, bought Dexter's story, but was not satisfied with it. Like that, like, felt like this isn't a good enough excuse for me to pretend like this didn't happen and take you back and we can be together again, yada, yada, yada. I think she bought it. She just wasn't accepting of it. But now she has even more reason to doubt him, because Molly's like, yeah, he couldn't have possibly overheard our conversation. He was sitting way the fuck over there. And can you hear what those people are saying? I can't. And she figures out that he plugged in his phone and must have recorded them that way, which we know is true. And then Angela wonders why they were, together at the time that she arrested him. And so now they're both kind of looking at Dexter as being something more than just, well, Molly's looking at Dexter from a totally new light. And now Angela's keeping to herself the fact that she knows who he is, but now is finding more reason to question his stories. And I mean, she's already mad at him for lying about who he is. She's definitely not going to be too happy to find out him lying about how he came across Molly and Kurt in that situation. So everything's coming down around Dexter pretty bad right now. You look at, Angela and Molly are seemingly onto him. Kurt is definitely onto him, and he's losing Harrison to Kurt for the most part. So things are coming down around Dexter everywhere. I don't even think he fully understands how bad things are for him right now, and it makes me wonder what direction they're going to go with these 3 episodes left. Like, how does the Dexter Morgan story end? Like, no one was satisfied with how it ended in season 8. So like, how do we end it now? What's the proper ending for this guy? Does he go the straight and narrow? Does he somehow rebuild his relationship with Harrison? Does he end up dying himself? Like, how does this play out? And the shitstorm coming down around him currently makes me think that it's not going to end very well. So we also see a little bit more of Harrison moving toward Kurt. I like that they have this breakfast, Harrison and Dexter. They have breakfast, and he says he's gonna go to work, and Dexter says, you know how I feel about that. And then Harrison goes, you know how I feel about that. Like, that was that's some disrespectful shit, man. He's not listening to Dexter at all. Deb tells him correctly that Harrison's kind of moving toward Kurt, and Dexter kind of relies on the police here. He's like, oh, they're gonna figure out that Kurt's the one who killed all these people, and Harrison will see that he's a bad guy and kind of stop idolizing him. And Deb makes the pretty strong point of like, you really think the police aren't gonna fuck this up? Okay. We have evidence to suggest otherwise, but all right. And then toward the end of the episode, Dexter stops Harrison from carving up these kids who were friends with, or maybe just teammates with the guy whose arm he broke, who was apparently like the star of the team or whatever. And they approach him. Harrison slices the one guy's coat. I don't think he actually cut the guy himself. And then Dexter comes in and saves the day, and we find out that Harrison actually does remember everything that happened. We get a nice shot of John Lithgow as Trinity. I don't remember season 4 that vividly to know if that's a shot from season 4 or a new shot for this show that John Lithgow just did for them. But I think it's probably the latter, actually, that it's a new shot, because I don't remember anything like that from season 4. But he remembers everything. He wants to hurt the same stuff he told Audrey. He wants to hurt everybody all the time. And he says, like, you knew this and that's why you left. And then just as Dexter decides, like, makes the decision that I feel like he probably should have made a long time ago, once he realized that Harrison was like into harming people, he should have like come clean back then. But it sounds like he's made the decision to tell Harrison everything. And then that same trucker, I believe that was the same guy, kidnaps Dexter. So it looks like Kurt has, does Kurt have like some sort of like entire like criminal syndicate running out of this truck stop? Like, this is where he finds the women that he takes. And does he also hire truckers to do dirty work for him? Like, can he do that from like, I don't know, he was probably out of jail by that point, but like, can he do that? Like, just like he has like truckers on call that he can just be like, hey, there's a guy around here, I need you to get him for me. Like, what, like, how big does this go? But like, Kurt's got money, so it could go pretty big. I found this episode to be pretty thrilling, but I did have a couple of questions. One question really that I just can't figure out what this was about. When Dexter breaks into Kurt's office, he's digging around. I think he was searching for more of those surgical screws, because he said they come in sets. And he finds a check for $5,000 to a name I don't recognize, and I don't know what significance that's going to have. It seems kind of weird to bring out a new character that's going to have some sort of impact with only 3 episodes left. So I'm curious about that. So if you have an idea, maybe I missed the name and it's someone I'm supposed to recognize, but Dexter didn't recognize the name, so I don't know why I would. But yeah, I'm curious about that. If you got any idea what that $5,000 check might have been about, drop that in the comments. So that's really all I got for this week. I thought they did a great job with revealing Dexter and Kurt being on to one another in this episode. I thought it made for some genuinely fun and shocking moments. I like how the walls are kind of closing in on Dexter now. Like, he's got it from every angle. His girl, the podcaster, Kurt, Harrison, like everybody's kind of like coming down on him, closing in on him, I think actually would be the best way to put it. Closing in on him all at the same time. So with 3 episodes left, I almost kind of feel like this episode ratcheted everything up so much that it kind of feels like the next episode could be the finale, because like they elevated everything, escalated everything so much. So with 3 episodes left, now I'm kind of wondering, like, what are you going to do over the course of 3 episodes? Like, is this actually going to get worse for Dexter than it already is? But so we'll see. With Succession having ended, my Sundays just got 1 hour shorter as far as the stuff that I got to watch. So I have Yellow Jackets going. I have this going. And 1 more episode of Insecure that's going to happen next week, and then that'll be done as well. So my Sundays are going to be a little freer. Maybe I can get some of these last few Dexter and Yellow Jackets episodes out a little bit earlier in the day on Monday than I currently am. So we'll see, though. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.